to... Now, how do I start the show again? Welcome, dear listener, to the After Movie Diner. I've been almost 200 episodes, Mo, and I still can't get used to just going into the show. Every week, Jim has to tell me what to say. But basically, hello and welcome, everybody listening, to this week's After Movie Diner, and a special episode because we have back in the saddle, as it were, me old beardy compadre, Moseph Porn. How are you doing, sir?
Oh, I'm doing great. See, this is the great thing about No Budget Nightmares is that we established an opening so long ago that it's permanently ingrained in my brain, and I'll never forget it, except the weeks that I do.
Right. Well, I mean, I suppose I could come up with an intro. And normally, to be fair, when we do because regular listeners of the Diner will know that Mo normally comes on the New Year's Eve episodes. And on the New Year's Eve episodes, I normally...
You can't handle me more than once a year.
I can handle you whenever you want. In the Pantel region. But no, I normally write a big intro for everybody to start off that show. Today I didn't. Today I was too busy making myself dinner, eating dinner, and then editing some videos for the website because my big behemoth of a website now just requires all of my attention, apparently. It's my second job.
Yeah, that's how it works.
Yeah, essentially. So don't forget to go over to the After Movie Diner and support the After Movie Diner in any which way you possibly can. If you're listening to this, I know that August is Share Month, so what we're trying to do is just encourage people to share stuff.
Okay. I thought you meant turn back time.
Oh no, that's been the running gag in the show. I've been playing that song every time I say it's Share Month. So yes, when you hear this noise,
if I could turn back time, if I could find a way, I'd take back those words that'll hurt you, and you'd stay.
When you hear that noise, we want you to share. So if people always say, if you see it, report it, or whatever what do they say?
If you see something, say something?
See something, say something. That's it. I'm all over the place, Mo. I'm not ready. I'm not in my rhythm yet. I will get there. If you see something, say something. We're saying if you see something, share something.
Share something, yes.
That's what we're saying. If you see something, fucking share it, you bastards.
I don't know why I did the things I did. I don't know why I said the things I said. Pride's like a knife, it can cut deep inside. Words are like weapons, they wound sometimes.
You no good sons of whores.
No good sons of whores. So, Mo, first of all, sir, why don't you just tell us a little bit about what you've been watching lately and what you've been doing and who the hell are you?
Oh, man. Well,
Difficult questions first.
God, I hate this question so much. Well, I mean, co-host for No Budget Nightmares. It's me and Doug Tilley.
He's Doug Tilley. That one, right?
Yeah. He's the guy who got the better theme song. Mine's although I can't say that. He's got the Hong Kong Phooey parody song, which is great because it really works perfectly for Doug Tilley. But mine is a Maud parody song, and that just makes me very happy.
Plus, yours indicates that you're always masturbating. So.
Yeah, mine, of course, mentions masturbation. So, yeah, I mean, I haven't, it's funny. I hit this year running real hard with movies and managed to get myself a good, month and a half ahead of my one movie per day schedule. And now I'm actually behind again because I took quite literally an entire month off just to catch up on some TV shows I've been meaning to do. So lately I haven't watched a whole lot, although most notably I watched that documentary about like obsessive Ghostbusters fanboys called Ghost Heads.
Yeah.
And that was fun. I mean, it focused entirely too much on just like this one particular guy, and I just didn't find him very interesting at all. So like anytime
Hello, I'm Eric.
Yeah,
I
right.
sleep with a Stay Puft Marshmallow Man toy.
Pretty much, yeah. And he's one of those guys where he just happened to be in the right place at the right time for all of this sort of interesting stuff to happen to him. And it made sort of a feel-good story, but I just thought it was fucking boring as shit. So every time they cut to somebody else, I was like, oh, thank goodness I can pay attention to somebody else. But overall, I enjoyed it.
What I didn't realize was that the right place and the right time was sticking your knob in a Slimer doll on the third aisle of the toy section of Kmart.
Yeah. The producers just happened to be shopping with his kid. He's like, "You look like a Ghostbusters fan."
He's like, "Take it, Slimer, take it." He's just like, "Hello, I'm Eric. I want to make Slimer really slimy."
Pretty much, yes.
Nice.
Yeah. And then I watched Coming to America, which is always fun. I watched that thoroughly mediocre Key and Peele movie, Keanu.
Right.
And then just recently for the show for No Budget Nightmares, we watched Tim Ritter's Killing Spree.
Nice, very nice.
Which was super fucking fun. That episode, I believe, dropped already. If not, then it will by the time this one goes out.
Sure, yeah. This one will go out next week, sometime Monday or Tuesday. Yeah, excellent, Mo. Well, thank you ever so much for all that information. That's tremendous. I myself did much the same as you did, sir. I hit the ground running with watching movies and letterbox stuff and blah, 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 blah. I then just fucking gave up. And I've watched a whole bunch of movies. I just haven't documented which ones I've watched.
That's me almost every other year.
Yeah, I haven't written it down. I have yet to... No, I did Letterboxd once all the way through the year. But it's just, like, I just forget to put ones on. And then once I've forgotten one, I'm just like, fuck it, it's not complete.
Well, you know...
unless it's complete, I'm not finishing it.
I thoroughly understand that entirely. My problem is, and I'm sure you can relate to this as well, and Doug certainly relates to this, is that like me and Doug watch so many like super low budget, no budget, films throughout the course of the year for the show, and the majority of them aren't on there. So it's like, and it's such a tedious process to add them. And like Doug doesn't mind, but I really do. I don't care for it. So I just keep a little list on my computer, and that's why half the time when I'm documenting the movies on Facebook, it'll just be like 2-1 question marks. I'm like, I have no idea where the fuck I am in this thing.
I mean, next year I have to do it one year and do it properly because it would just appease the kind of nerdy list taker that dwells deep within me.
Right. I'm really glad that the 1 year I did manage to keep it going through the whole year was the year that I like broke my movie watching record, for whatever I did. Wasn't really maintaining a list or anything like that, but that was the year that I watched something like 780 movies in the year, and it was, oh my god. Of course, I was also unemployed and not really looking for a job, so watching 4 or 5 movies a day wasn't that big of a deal.
Well, the other thing is, of course, is I always feel the urge to have to write a review for each one on Letterboxd, and then I'm like, okay, we can't start the next movie until I've sat there and written one. And then I'm thinking, why am I writing a review for Letterboxd? I should just put it on the website. And then it just becomes a big knot in my brain. And then I go and hide in a corner, and Kim has to throw iced water over me or hit me in the balls with a jar of peanut butter strapped to a hose pipe. I don't know where I'm going with this, but
I was enjoying it.
You're enjoying the visual.
I was enjoying the visual, yes.
But today's movie that we're covering or this week's movie rather, that we're covering is the wonderful Microwave Massacre from 1983. And it is soon to be released on an Arrow Blu-ray, which is what I watched it on. But it is also hanging around on YouTube with Spanish subtitles, right, Mo?
Portuguese.
All right. Sorry. Technical difference there. Actually, it's a huge fucking difference.
It's a huge difference, yeah.
But no, we did Microwave Massacre from 1983, starring none other than Jackie Vernon, who is famous for what, Mo?
Frosty the Snowman.
Frosty the Snowman. Now,
oh my God, I'm sitting here watching the movie, and I'm not placing the voice, because I wasn't particularly familiar with what Jackie Vernon looked like as a human,
Right. I knew what he looked like as a snowman.
I knew what he looked like as a snowman. Person part, I'm not too sure.
I don't know what his face looked like.
Plus, this was also very, very late in his career. I think this is actually the second to last thing he ever did.
It's actually his very last film. He might have done TV or something afterwards, but it's his very last film,
Yeah. So I'm trying to place the voice, and I'm like, oh my God, this sounds so familiar. And I have one of those minds where if something's familiar to me, I need to compare it to something, and I wasn't, and I'm like, this is so goddamn familiar. Now if in the movie he had said the phrase "Happy Birthday," then I wouldn't have had an issue with that at all. But holy shit, it's fucking Frosty the Snowman. And then afterwards, when I saw the name, I'm like, oh, it was Frosty the fucking Snowman. Which just made me just fucking cackle.
Yeah, I mean, two things for people who don't know either thing, because I think the Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, Frosty the Snowman, kind of that Christmas, there's four of them, and I forget the other two, but those Christmas animations are more famous over here, I think, than I don't know if they even play in the UK, or if they do. They're not that well known. It wasn't until I moved over here that I suddenly found out a bit about these things.
Yeah, I have no idea how familiar anybody else in the world is, but yeah, they're fairly well known here.
And they play every Christmas, right?
Typically, yeah.
Yeah. So they're a whole Christmas animation package that play, and obviously you've got Charlie Brown Christmas and stuff like that. But there's Frosty the Snowman and Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer are the two I can think of. So Jackie Vernon did the voice of Frosty the Snowman, and Jackie Vernon is sort of a cross between Rodney Dangerfield and Jackie Mason.
Yeah, actually, it's funny you would say that, because that's almost exactly the comparison I did when I forgot that he was Frosty the Snowman.
And yeah, he had done bits on the Merv Griffith Show and the Tonight Show with Johnny Carson, and he's sort of like a Vegas.
He was like a stand-up comedian, like a lounge act.
Sort of a Vegas nightclub lounge act type guy. So the only reason I say that is to kind of set the film up, because in the film, where he's very much kind of playing himself, every other line is a quip. It's not a particularly strong quip, but every other line is a quip. He's sort of like a low-rent Bob Hope.
Yeah, this movie is puntacular. There are puns just constantly.
There's a whole sequence in the movie where he approaches a woman outside a chicken restaurant dressed as a chicken, just so that he can make a lot of chicken jokes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
and somehow, thanks to movie magic, he manages to get her in bed.
Yeah, no, he manages to become a ladies' man at one point in the movie. But, and if you see him, he has a face that looks like a bag full of asses.
He looks like somebody took a sack of Valencia oranges to, what's his name? Oh, God, fucking Paulie from the Rocky movies.
Yeah,
Burt Young.
Burt Young, yeah, that's exactly what he looks like. He looks like Burt Young was allergic to bees and got caught in an apiary.
Yeah, pretty much.
So, yeah, that's pretty much what he looks like. And Microwave Massacre it's one of those sort of, for me, a kind of gleeful discovery, because it's not a good movie, yet somehow it's a delightful movie. Do you know what I mean by that?
Absolutely. No, this movie's a horrible piece of shit. It's like thoroughly sexist, very insensitive, and just.
And there's a couple of moments where it's completely racist for no reason either. Like it just
yeah, unnecessary racism.
Yeah.
But it's such like this movie is as close to like an 80s teen sex horror film, you know, like you know what I mean? Like it's a teen sex romp, but only there's no teens and it's a horror movie.
Right, exactly. It definitely, like, I did not know what the tone was going to be until the very beginning of the movie. Like, from the outside of the box or the cover, you would think, okay, this is going to be a horror movie about a guy who kills people using a microwave. You know what I mean? Like, you would just assume that it was going to be like that. Just in the same way that Nail Gun Massacre, you would assume, is about a guy who kills people with a nail gun. And the movie starts on a pair of breasts, an enormous pair of bouncing breasts,
Delightful
walking
breasts.
down the street. Well, the movie actually starts with like a clip of the big microwave, and then the light comes on and there's a head in it, right?
Yeah.
But then after that, it immediately cuts to breasts, and over the top of the breasts, it's like Microwave Massacre, and you're like, oh, okay, I get it. Like all of it. If it was called, you know, I don't know, Teen Blanket Bingo Microwave Massacre, then it would just be like that would be fine. If it was called Beach Blanket Microwave Massacre, then you would be like, okay, and because they started like that, what's hilarious is that the storyline, such as it is, begins with this guy who's a construction worker unhappy with the food that his wife cooks him for dinner and the sandwiches that she sends him to work with.
I love that first sandwich that he has, where it's just like two pieces of just like the stalest looking loaf. You know, they're hard as rocks, and in it is just an entire crab.
A huge whole crab.
A whole crab still in shell.
Yeah, with some lettuce. And so he's down and out about the food that he's being prepared. And the reason why I bring that up right away is because the original opening of the movie was going to be May, his both terrible but also put upon wife, because he's horrible to her as well.
Yeah, he's a huge pile of shit.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, she's not very nice either, but like, you know, he married her, you know what I mean? So anyway.
He's trying. I mean, I'm sorry. I said that wrong.
Trying.
She's trying.
Yeah,
he's just being a fucking cunt to her.
So the original plan was to film her buying a variety of hideous things in a supermarket. And then as she threw it into the basket, there was going to be a label on each item that was going to be the opening credits.
Oh, that's awesome.
Right? So, but the supermarket backed out at the last minute. Right? The supermarket was like, no. And then I think the director jokes in the making of that's on the disc. He's like, they probably read the script. Right? But what's hilarious about this whole story is that when the supermarket backed out and they couldn't do the opening, they sent the actress playing May home and instead went, how can we open the movie? And their solution to opening a movie about a man who kills his wife with a microwave because of the terrible food she makes and then finds out that he prefers eating humans, which is the actual plot of the movie. Mm-hmm. The way they decided to open it was titties. If it fails, titties.
and frankly, I applaud their decisions.
But it's just, can you imagine that? Like, they're all sat around a table and they're like, fuck, we can't get the supermarket, we can't go, what are we going to do? And then one of the guys around the table either takes a swig from a bottle or a puff of a joint or both and just goes, titties. Can we get titties?
Johnson's got an idea. What do you got? Titties. All right.
So, yeah, and the other thing is that they wanted Rodney Dangerfield. They actually wanted Rodney Dangerfield for the role, but his asking price was too high, apparently.
Yeah, well, you know, $16 in a joint is a lot of money.
But it's what's hilarious is that in the making of, they were like, we wanted Rodney Dangerfield for the role, and then just in a very quiet voice he just goes, Jackie Vernon was our second choice. And I was just like, that's such a shitty thing to say, because these were a bunch of guys. The guy who directed it, these were a bunch of guys. His dad had worked as a script supervisor on like 500 Hollywood movies. Like, he was just some guy that they brought on the set a lot to sort of coach actors and look at the script and various other stuff. Yeah. So the guy had grown up on sets, and he was like, so I'm going to start making movies myself. And then all the others were just kind of like college buddies of his. Uh-huh. So, like, he has a tangential link to Hollywood, but, like, Jackie Vernon at the time was, you know, he wasn't Rodney Dangerfield, and he wasn't Bob Hope, but he was he had a career. Like, he was a person they could get for the movie.
He was an entity.
Right, exactly. So this idea that they're like, that he was our second choice. Like, I'm like, fuck you. Like, you got a name, dude. You got a dude who had been on the Tonight Show with Johnny Carson to be in your movie. Like, shut the fuck up. So yes.
Yeah, man. You got Frosty the fucking Snowman.
Right, you got Frosty the fucking Snowman to do all sorts of horrendous things in your film, and it is his film. Like, there are lots of other stuff going on, but it follows him 96% of the time.
Yeah, he is. There are very few moments in this film when he's not like center stage, where he's not the main thing happening in that scene. Which is pretty impressive when you think about it.
Yeah, definitely. Especially considering, like, an actor he's not. Like, he's not even Don Rickles. And, you know, Don Rickles is a great actor when he needs to be. But, like, he's not even watchable in a Don Rickles way. Like,
right.
And it's clear that no one's coaxing a performance out of him. You know what I mean? Like, no one's saying, hey, man, could we try that again? Like, no one said that on this set at all.
You know, and as true as that is, it's surprising at how few, like, line flubs there are. Because, you know, like, a lot of movies, like, even in, like, Killing Spree, there was at least one real serious line flub, and we're like, why didn't Tim Ritter just do a second take there? But I guess he liked that one, you know. In this one, there's not from Jackie Vernon, at least. There's a million from other characters, but not from him.
Right, exactly. No, I agree. Okay, so that's a little bit of sort of behind the scenes stuff about Microwave Massacre. Why don't you start taking us through it then, sir?
Okay. So yeah, like we said, the film opens up with a panning in shot of the monstrosity of a cardboard microwave.
Yeah.
That microwave is nothing to fucking joke about. The thing's bigger than most ovens.
Yeah, and we should point out here, the effects in this movie are not good. Like, the effects are not good.
No.
Like, comically not good.
Yeah.
And I don't like to watch movies ironically. And the nice thing about this movie, the thing that I liked about it, is because they were so clearly using humor from the very beginning, both in the way he was talking, but also in the fact that the movie's titles are literally over a large pair of boobs.
Yeah.
You just kind of go, okay, I can laugh at it because they know they're making a comedy.
Right.
And also, in terms of the effects, which are sort of the body parts, that's really the only effects we're talking about. In terms of the body parts, because it's not horrific and it's not really meant to, it's meant to be funny, they're more just to kind of symbolize the idea rather than to be realistic in any way.
Yeah, like they don't need to be realistic, as such. I mean, they're essentially those plastic body buy at like Halloween stores. There's nothing super fancy about any of them.
But yeah, so anyway, the movie starts with this horrible effect, and then it goes into boobies,
and then it goes right to boobs, and then it goes right to fucking just these jackass fucking construction workers who are just the horniest motherfuckers. You know,
well, there's a genius bit, which is that there's a white guy and a black guy listening to the radio and chowing down on their sandwiches.
Right.
And the white guy is like, hey, man, you have to feel the music. Like, the joke is the black guy who would normally obviously have the rhythm and the ability and understand music and all the rest of it.
Right.
Like, doesn't know how to... What's the line he says? Like,
he says, you gotta pretend like you're a willowy tree and just and let the breeze take you, man.
No, but he says... the white guy says something about, like... you're a novice at getting down, or you're an amateur at the funk, or something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
But it's a hilarious line, and the whole joke that a white guy is teaching a black guy about music. And then explain to me, Mo, because I'm not sure I fully understood. What happened with the boobies?
All right, so for some reason, this woman, the title shot titties, the titty shot? No, never mind. Yeah. She, for some reason, decides
you could say the titular shot. You could say that.
Yes, her. She decides for some reason that she's going to peek through this conveniently breast-sized hole in the wall where they're building whatever. And as she peeks in, this not so decent gentleman pinches her bottom, and it forces her breasts into the hole, where she of course wiggles to try to get herself free, which pulls open her shirt, and now there's just titties in a hole.
But what's weird is that there seems that it cuts back twice to her from behind her, right?
Yeah.
We don't see the hand on her ass anymore, so it's not like he's like...
No, there's nothing holding her in the hole. No,
but she's just like bouncing back and forth.
Yeah.
As if someone's having sex with her almost. Like, that's how she's like moving back and forth. But
see, I took it as her struggling to break free.
Well, I think that's a good way to look at it, and I think it's important that we.
I'd rather pretend that she's not being raped on the street.
Right. But... no, that's not what I thought was happening. I just said it looked like it, but there was no one doing anything. So I was well, that's obviously not what's happening. But then, in which case, what's happening? And I think that maybe had she done a Jim Wynorski. And added that rubber balloon sound of the breasts, then I would have understood that they were stuck. Like, had there been like that noise, which Wynorski adds in the shower scene in Sorority House Massacre 2. When she's showering and she rubs her hand over her breast, you hear like this noise, like a squeaky balloon noise.
Really?
Which is that is Wynorski's genius. Let's not downplay that. But yeah, I feel like had they done that here, had they had some Foley sounds to indicate that they were stuck, I would have understood more what was going on. As it is, I was just like, this is ridiculous.
Right. And like, and the best part about the whole thing is that like her breasts magically get repositioned in there as well, so like you can see them better. Right,
exactly. Yeah.
And oh my god. And the guy's reaction to it is perfect too. So it's not like oh, there's somebody stuck in the fence, I should go help them. They're like, let's race to the breasts to see who gets to touch them first.
Yeah, this construction site, by the way, where no one is constructing anything.
Yeah.
It's a mound of dirt surrounded by fences, and at one point we see a muscular man who turns out to be effeminate, let's say, lifting a girder, and that's it. Like, that's all the construction we see. At no point does anyone have any bricks or paste or anything like that. It's just three guys sat on a dusty mound.
Well, they focus on lunchtime.
Right, they focus on the feeding time. That's kind of what the movie's all about.
So then we're introduced to, what's his name? Donald?
Oh, Jackie Vernon's character?
Yeah.
Is Donald, yeah.
Donald, yeah. we're introduced to Donald, who, as we said previously, was eating a ridiculous crab sandwich. He tries to make a trade. I love that he just so desperately wants nothing more than just a bologna and cheese sandwich. Like I just want a bologna and cheese sandwich, you know. And then we find out when he gets home that evening exactly why he's, you know, I mean, obviously we learned about his wife's culinary ways, but he does have a great line when he gets home where he talks about how the food matches the chairs, you know. And he says,
"Oh yeah, it looks really great, May. The food matches the chairs."
You know, and then he says, he says something to the effect of, he says, with your cooking, you'd make a really great designer. Right. And like that, lines like that make it pretty clear that Dangerfield wanted to be their first choice, because that is such a Dangerfield line, but it's really funny, you know.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, he doesn't, like, what's odd about it is his delivery's a little too slow, right. And it's not quite, but there are a couple of moments where you're just like really laughing along with the film and enjoying the film, because he does nail enough of the lines that it makes you go either like, oh, you know, like, wah, 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 or
right.
actually like laugh at it. And the whole scene where he comes home, you know, it's not clear because neither actor, neither Claire Ginsberg, who plays May, or Jackie Vernon, has particularly a clear speaking voice. So it's not 100% obvious just what's going on. But essentially, she's tried to cook some Parisian food, like she pronounces it like manger de la Parisienne or something. Like she pronounces it in a really ridiculously stupid way. But she's tried.
It's cordon bleu.
Oh, that's it, cordon bleu. Yeah. So she's tried to do that. He's just like, I don't want any of your fucking food. I want just some meat and potatoes, basically.
He just keeps going on. He goes, I just want something simple that can be eaten with my hands.
So she tries to create a romantic atmosphere and instead sets fire to the oil lamp, which then has to be put out with the spritzer water, seltzer water.
Yeah.
And what does he say the atmosphere is like? He's like, oh yeah, really great atmosphere you made, May. Like it's like an abattoir or something like that. Like
yeah, I don't recall. Like I said, there were so many quips and one-liners. To try to remember them all it's just a monumental Herculean task. Yeah, it just wouldn't work.
And I before we even go any further, I would definitely suggest that if people like low budget 80s movies with quips and tits and a sort of slight horror edge, I would either pick this up or watch it on YouTube. Like, it is worth it.
Yeah, because this came out right in the golden age of the 80s teen sex romp, so it's clearly heavily influenced by that style of movie. It's just instead of like attractive teenagers in all the roles or attractive 20-somethings, it's this fat old dude.
Right.
So it's great for me being a fat old dude myself, you know, that at least I know somebody's, you know, getting some. Of course he's killing them afterwards, but
right.
You know,
which we'll get to. But yeah, so they have a sort of back and forth. He pulls out the vacuum cleaner bag and empties its contents all over the living room. He urinates in the living room at one point, right?
Yeah. This is when he gets to his breaking point. There's a series of events that sort of happen up to that, where he's just sort of fed up with her and yeah, he decides he's gonna messy up the house, and he does decide to just piss in the living room, which is pretty fucking fantastic.
And she doesn't really kind of get angry with him.
No, she seems to have the patience of a saint.
I mean, it really is. Yeah, I mean, it's a chauvinistic piece of shit.
Yeah, no, he is a full on just male chauvinist fucking piece of crap. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's around this time, I think, in between the two scenes with his wife, where we get to meet the bartender at the local strip joint that they go back to a few times.
Yeah, the fucking bartender who just, like, I love how he, like, takes that bartender trope and just turns it on his ear, where he's like, I don't want to hear your stories.
Right. No, well, this was the great thing, is that throughout the movie, there's a couple of things going on where, like, all the characters that he meets along the way seem to have these little sort of quirks or manner or like characteristics that kind of make them pop a little bit for the sort of few scenes that they're in. And what I loved about that is sort of, that's how I would write a film. Like, I would write a film that if our protagonist went into, if I was writing a comedy film, if our protagonist went into a hardware store, the guy behind the counter would be like this quirky fucking guy and would have like a few one-liners, and the bartender would be like this jokey kind of guy. And the nice thing, like you say, is he's got no time for like hookers who are in there. He doesn't want to look at pretty women or anything like that. He's got no time for hearing anybody's stories whatsoever. He doesn't want to sit down. He's got hemorrhoids, so that's why he took a job standing up. Like, there's all this stuff about him. Like, nobody comments on the fact that it's a strip joint. So it's just, he doesn't know, like, he doesn't even know how to mix cocktails, right? He's just like, this isn't a cocktail bar or something at one point, right?
Right.
So he's and I love him. Like, I was like, oh, this movie is endearing itself to me because it's got bad acting. Yes, it's got the production, values of a 1975 business film, but, shot in Des Moines. But, like, it's endearing itself to me because the script is at least attempting to keep me entertained with a bunch of, like, stupid characters.
Right, exactly. At the very least, and me and Doug talk about this all the time, that, like, it's very easy to forgive a bad film if it seems like if it's good enough to make you, like, have fun with it, or if it seems like the cast is having fun with it, and it does seem like these guys were having fun with their roles, that it's easy to forgive, like, little shit, like, lack of production value or shitty acting, as long as you're having fun with it. And yeah, I think this was a super fun film with a lot of little quirky shit going on, and, like, every character you meet is just a little weirder than the last one, and it's a lot of fun. I really like it.
And the funny thing is this crew started off making, like, training films and business films and things like this. And the movie does, even in its spruced up Blu-ray version, it looks like a late 70s training film. Like, it looks like, how to use your microwave by
it's
GE or whatever,
Yeah, it's blocked in that sort of constant medium headshot, sort of, or just like upper body, where that's all you really ever see. So yeah, I get that entirely.
And there's also that thing in the film where they don't quite understand, or they didn't have the wherewithal to shoot coverage or cutaways. Like, there's so many times in the movie where I'm like, what's going on? It's because now, look, in this movie it's forgivable because this was a bunch of first timers and an old guy who was just, like, in it for the free tits, probably. But it's unforgivable in Star Trek Beyond, which is what we covered last week on the show, and I had similar comments about. But it's sort of perfectly forgivable in this. But there are a bunch of scenes where you go, sorry, what's going on? And then, like, 2 minutes later, your brain catches up and goes, oh, all right, that's what they were trying to do. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like with the titties when they got stuck in the fence. I'm just like, I don't know what that was. I'm glad they were titties, but I don't know what that was.
A+ for titties, D- for...
Like, if she had just said a line of dialogue like, I can't get my titties out.
Right,
like,
exactly. All you needed was one reaction shot of her saying something, and it would have made the whole thing make sense.
Yeah, or help, help, I'm stuck, or something.
Yeah. You could fucking ADR'd it, no problem.
So he gets pissed off with his wife. At this point, he's just like, I've had enough. And he kind of strangles her to death, right?
Yeah.
Kind of strangles and or suffocates her to death. And it was a fairly, what was disappointing to me was that there was this one of the bits which I thought was really great was he, at one point, seemingly picks up a sword and goes to hack his wife in half. And then the sword becomes a newspaper, and you turn out it was just like wish fulfillment in his head.
Yeah, it was a fantasy.
A fantasy sequence. I was actually disappointed that the first kill of the movie was sort of bloodless, and although you see his face essentially off screen, because you don't see her being strangled at all, you just see him sweating and going red-faced at the camera.
Actually, almost every single kill in this movie is disappointing.
Yeah, it is.
Almost every single one. If not every single one.
And there is a bit of gore and grue later on in the movie. And there's a couple of moments where, because of the kind of sickly, yellowy, greeny 70s color palette that it has, that him kind of soaring through the bones and things like that and sort of blood splattering in his face was a little nauseating. Not because it was scary or realistic, but just kind of nauseating. I can't quite put my finger on it, but there was a little thing that was sort of nauseating. Do you know what I mean?
I've had many women say that to me. Yeah, I do know what you mean, though.
But yeah, it's just it turned my stomach less because of what it was attempting to do, and more because of what it actually was, which was a fat, sweaty guy and naked chicks in a room, which probably, let's be fair, smelt like gone off ham.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. The intimate moments in this film are incredibly hard to watch.
Yeah. So he basically figures out that after killing his wife, and getting confused because his wife has all this wrapped up meat for her cooking in the basement fridge.
Yeah.
And he saws her body up and wraps her body up in tinfoil with no intention of eating her. But then later gets hungry, goes down and goes, okay. Yeah.
But I love the fact that he, so as he's leaving, one of the tin foil with her hand in it falls into the garbage can. So when he goes back later to get something to eat, instead of grabbing something out of the fridge, he grabs something out of the garbage can.
Well, because he thinks that he's put her in the fridge and all the old meat in the garbage can.
Right, and I totally get that. That's fine, but it's like why would you pick out of the trash to eat? Whatever, that's beyond the point.
But he ends up eating his wife's hand.
He ends up eating her hand, yeah.
And it ends up being the nicest thing he's eaten all month or all year or whatever. So he realizes that he has become a cannibal and he has a taste for human flesh.
It's got such a unique flavor.
And it's clearly, like you say, a hand that you can buy in a Halloween store.
Oh, yeah.
Not even a good Halloween store, like a pop-up Halloween store.
Right. This like Phantom.
Like one of these things that moves into an abandoned mall space for 3 weeks.
Exactly.
And has the shitty, $10 toys. But no, so he's basically eating a bit of rubbery ham off the top of this fake hand. And decides, okay, so what I need to do is kill women and eat them, essentially.
Yeah.
But then he finds out that the meat is even better after he's had sex with them.
Yeah, see, now this is the part that I actually really enjoyed, which is a really terrible way to phrase that. But I got such a kick out of the fact that it turns into a sexual fetish for him. And so it's not that he's just killing and eating these people, that he's no, I have to fuck them first and then kill them and eat them.
Right down to quite a humorous psychiatrist sequence
Right,
where he
right.
seems to be spilling his entire story to this psychiatrist who isn't paying attention because there's a bee in the office or a fly in the office.
And then he falls asleep.
Then he falls asleep. It's like scenes like that
Yeah.
endear the film to me because I'm like, I love the fact that the psychiatrist, there was a bee or a fly, and
Yeah.
he's more concerned with that than he is with what he's saying.
Right.
Because we already know what he's saying. Like, we've watched him do it. So
Yeah. What he's saying is unimportant. The comedy is the psychiatrist's reaction, and what's even better too is that when the psychiatrist wakes up, and like he basically like the guy Donald actually repeats what he said again to the now conscious doctor without so many details. He just says like, in order to have sex with women, I have to eat them, so of course he's taking that as like a cunnilingus thing.
Right.
And he's like, no, yeah, go for it. She'll thank you.
Right. But there's a great in that scene in particular, there's a great line where he's like, I used to think I'd have to take a woman out for dinner before I could fuck him. Now I have to fuck him before I eat him for dinner. Like I like this. Which I kind of like that as a line. I thought that was a good, good flip, a good reversal.
Yeah, absolutely.
Joke. So yeah, I mean, there's lots of moments like that. It sort of gets a bit derailed with the whole. He has a pacemaker put in, and I didn't quite know where all that was going.
Yeah, I feel like they got about halfway through with shooting, and we're like, well, since we don't really have much of a script for this film anyway, how do we want to end this? And it's like, oh, yeah, right. And then they probably read something about microwaves fucking with pacemakers, and we're like, we'll give them a pacemaker.
Right, okay, that's what it is. All right, yeah, I didn't quite get the ending, but it's fine.
Well, I mean, like there's really like when he actually dies, like unless you know that microwaves fuck with pacemakers, you have no idea what the hell's going on until a few minutes later, like we're at the very end when the people who move into Donald's house like are looking at the wiring on the microwave and be like, oh, this would be death for anybody with a pacemaker.
Right. That's what it was. Okay, so I didn't actually hear that last line. I was too busy talking to Kim at that point.
Yeah, you were probably better off.
Because Kim came in halfway through the movie and she was like, I can't watch this film. I was like, why not? She's like, because it's Frosty the Snowman and he's raping and killing women.
See, that's exactly why I wanted to watch this.
Right, but she couldn't get it out of her head. So there's
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday. So there's a lot more going on in the movie. The next door neighbors seem to be having some form of constant rotation of orgies.
My favorite moment with the neighbors, and I'm sure it's yours too.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, there's the very first time we see them, and the very first moment we see is the woman getting pressed up against the window. But that's not my favorite moment.
No,
with
but
them.
also the fact that the guy in the middle of that orgy, because there's 4 or 5 people at the window clearly in the middle of the orgy, and there's a guy in women's underwear who looks disgusted at Donald, which was my favorite thing.
He's just like, and then he closes the blinds, and then he's peeking back out of them just in disgust. You go back to your normal life, normie. But no, my favorite moment with them is there's a scene where one of the myriad of women who's next door is like doing some gardening. And instead of using like a spade or like, she's using a vibrator.
She's using a vibrator to dig holes that she can then plant like single stem flowers in, essentially.
Right, exactly. And so Donald kind of stops and he's looking at her and she's just kind of, and like rubbing it on her leg and stuff. And then he just says something like, "That is one weird girl," or something to that effect.
Yeah, I mean,
what an odd lady.
I mean, there are a number of scenes where you're like, oh, come on, you could have written a better line like that. There's some scenes where you're like, wow, she really gets a buzz out of gardening. Like, they could have said that. They could have been, like, did the earth move? Is it vibrating? Like, there's those lines you could write. If they...
But the line he actually said, I actually really laughed at because I just thought it was so fucking stupid and brilliant. Like it just worked.
Well, you see, like, there was an issue.
I think he said, "What a peculiar woman."
There was because earlier in the film, she's outside watering her garden with the hose, and then squats down, and it looks like from behind that she's urinating on the garden, and also considering it's coming from a hose, like continually urinating.
Yeah,
like it's not
massive stream.
And he sits and watches it. So, you know, it's this world in which, you know, he's chopping women up and microwaving them, and she's next door having orgies and digging her garden with vibrators.
In all honesty, like this dude, he lives in John Waters, Baltimore, basically.
Right, exactly. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
It does have a sort of. If it was slightly more,
if it was funnier.
If it was funnier, but also like had a satirical edge, it would be very kind of John Waters-esque.
Yeah.
Because it is. I mean, it's about that like lower middle class, working class houses filled with unhappy married couples who are jealous of the hanky-panky that's going on next door. Like it's all that sort of. Oh, the seedy underbelly of America. It's all that. It's all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And it's funny actually because apparently while they were making it, Jackie Vernon turned to what's his name? Is it Lawrence Sheehan who plays Roosevelt? I think so. Turns to him. And this is while they were making it behind the scenes, and apparently said, "You know what we're making here, don't you?" And he was like, "What?" He was like, "We're making a very important film about about how this modern technology is one day going to destroy us." Like that's what he says. Like he thinks the movie is all about this idea that, you know, one day modern technology is going to eat us all. And it cuts back to Lauren, who's telling this story. And he goes, and you see what kind of a mess we're in right now? Maybe he had something, huh? And I'm thinking, what, you mean that mess whereby I can talk to someone in England in real time in a thing that's the size of my hand that I keep in my pocket? Yeah, that really disastrously awful world that we live in, you know?
It's destroying the world.
Yeah. I think it was more the fact
Won't somebody think of the children?
Yeah, right. My microwave is big enough to fit 15 people in it. So yeah, that's kind of bizarre that he thought like he agreed to be in the movie.
Speaking of microwaves fitting people into it, like I love the discovery because he's in sort of a drunken stupor when he kills his wife. So it's not until the next morning that he realizes that he even did it, and he just kind of stops and goes, "Oh, maybe she left my breakfast in the microwave." And he opens up the door and he goes, "Oh no, May's in the microwave." And she's clearly just like standing like in a fucking like refrigerator box.
Right.
It's fucking brilliant. It's so stupid, but it's brilliant. And his line dialogue of that is fucking great too. No, it's not May's in the microwave.
Wait a minute, what's May doing in the microwave? And
What?
there's like a couple of moments where he looks at the camera, and one of them was absolutely spot on when she was like being all mad at him, and he like looked at the camera just once, and I thought it was absolutely perfect. He then goes on to do it like 2 or 3 more times in the movie, and it kind of ruins the whole thing.
Well, you'll always have that first one.
But the first one's great. So sort of what other? There's a couple of like mad like dream sequences where he's spreading mayonnaise over a woman's naked body, and then an enormous slice of bread goes on top of it. There's also the subplot that his co-workers are enjoy, like he keeps making sandwiches for his co-workers
Yeah. So they're eating along with him, and they're absolutely loving it. And one of my favorite moments for that one too is they're talking about this serial abductor who keeps taking women, and they just get finished saying, that it's in this certain area of town. It's like, oh, hey, Donald, don't you live in that area of town? It's like, yeah, but I haven't seen any strange abductions lately. Which is great because it's like, what's a normal abduction?
Also, it has one of the worst lines in it that I'm sure at the time was fine, but now feels horrible. Which is the moment you're talking about, and the black guy is reading the newspaper, and he finds out that one of the women that was abducted was African American, and he says, well, at least he's an equal opportunity rapist, and then laughs.
Yeah, right.
And you're just a bit like, you could have said abductor. You know what I mean? Like, just saying rapist just makes you go, oh. You know what I mean? And then, obviously, the whole joke is that he's like, oh, black meat today.
Dark meat.
Oh, dark meat. That's it.
I love it.
But
that's what I'm saying. Like, I love that they're so, that they're eating all of this meat from him and, basically, just handing themselves clues to the fact that it's him doing it, but just, completely oblivious to it.
Right.
I got a kick.
Then there was a weird sequence where, he says... And I don't, this really was only in it to make a racist joke. There was no other reason to have this sequence in it. He's going out with his co-workers one night, and he says, I've got to go to Chinatown first, though, to, pick up a chick.
Yeah.
And then it cuts to his kitchen with the microwave on, and there is, a geisha hairpiece and some big, novelty round glasses. And then it just zooms into them, and over the top of it has, some Chinese-y style music.
Yeah.
And it was literally just in the movie to go, oh, Chinese people wearing big glasses. Funny joke. That's the only reason it was in the movie.
He needs to be careful about messing with the Chinese, though, because, if he doesn't watch out, somebody's going to pee-pee in his Coke.
Is that what he says in the film?
No. That's what I'm saying because it's a terrible joke.
Oh, okay. Right. So, where does that even come from?
That's the me Chinese, me play joke, me put PP in. Never mind. It's very racist.
I don't know that one.
Oh, well, you're lucky.
I'll cut that out.
You don't have to. That's fine. There's a couple of other insane sort of plots going. It's like basically every time he picks up a new woman, it's bonkers and absurd and makes no goddamn sense. I love the fact that May, the ghost of May, sort of comes back and haunts with him. So it's it makes you wonder, because the very last scene of the movie. The very last image of the movie is May with her eyes glowing, or her head, I should say. And it makes you wonder if she didn't fuck with the wiring to kill him, in the microwave. They never implicitly say it, but it makes you wonder.
Right. It's sort of, there's one sequence where he's downstairs and her head falls out of the fridge.
Right, yeah.
And when he goes to pick it up, it disappears.
And then it keeps reappearing in other places.
Right.
But, yeah.
And then her sister shows up.
Evelyn.
In another running gag. He hides May's head in the bed to make it look like she's asleep. Her sister goes in there anyway, because her sister's as sort of bossy as May was.
Busybody type, yeah.
Finds out that May's dead. He suddenly realizes, I can't keep killing people or something. What's he going to do with all this? Oh, and he doesn't want to eat her meat either.
Yeah, he doesn't want to eat her.
Right. Yeah. So instead, he shoves the end of a hard baguette.
Yeah. Like an Italian bread loaf.
Into her mouth, ties her up and sticks her in the cupboard. Yeah. And then there's this running gag for the rest of the movie that every time he opens the closet, she's
there.
in there, and the bread has got more moldy.
Yeah. And it's funny. I thought that was a good joke. Of course, I don't know why she wouldn't have just bit down on it, but whatever. That's not funny.
Right, or how she's still alive after months of not eating or drinking or anything.
Right.
But it does mean that at the end, when he dies and like the people come in to sell the house, they find her in the closet. Like, yeah, it's just, it's kind of bizarre.
It's a very ridiculous gag, but it's funny though. There is one gag that makes that maybe I just didn't notice something or whatever. But like, is there a moment when he starts selling the meat to like a cannibal meat company?
Right. This another one of the like. If this is the scene that I'm remembering, like this is racism on a new level. I was going to say it's massively racist.
Yeah.
It says something like
it's Buana Meats, like BWANA.
Right, Buana Meats.
I didn't see what it said on it.
For all your cult sacrifices, or something like that. For all your cult sacrifices, and then an African American gentleman gets out of the van, dressed like, sort of in African tribal gear.
Yeah, he's a tribesman. Yeah.
Sort of one step away from having a bone through his nose, essentially.
Basically, yeah.
But you never see him do anything. You just see him pull up in the van, get out, and walk away, and that's it.
So it's like, yeah, exactly. Like they never show any interactions with him and Donald. Like it's such a throwaway gag, but it's like, man, that's one of those gags that if it had been done better, like I would have been like, it's more forgivable because at least then it's kind of funny. But in this case, it's like it's there just for the sake of having another racist joke there. And it just doesn't work. It really actually kind of soured me on that moment of the film. The next time we saw boobs, I was right back into it. But,
of course. No, the boobs do. The boobs that sort of constantly pop up throughout the movie, it does solve a lot of issues.
The boobs forgive, yeah. And there's plenty of them. I was actually very. It's ironically though, the one place you don't see boobs, strip club.
Right. In the strip club, she's wearing like a sports bra. Like it's like a big, thick, white, elasticated bra. It's not a.
It's like a camisole. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So why
I know that word is beyond me, but I do.
Well, you're fancy, Mo. You're a fancy chap.
I am a fancy lad. Yes.
You're a fancy lad about town.
I'm trying to think if there's anything else in particular. Like, I don't know. There's just like I just found it utterly baffling that this like fat old dude, just managed to pull so many fucking like seriously foxy ladies. And but I mean, I guess it's not funny if they're not attractive,
right? And two of them were prostitutes.
Oh, that's true. Two of them were prostitutes. Some incredibly awkward sex. Tons and tons of one-liners, like one-liners during sex, which is just weird. It's just constant, but it's such an enjoyable movie. Otherwise, not otherwise, including all of that stuff too.
It's also short. Like it's that 75 minutes.
Yeah, if that, I think it's like 72. But yeah, it's nice and short. It's the perfect length.
And the ending,
5 minutes longer, I would have killed myself.
The ending credits are hilarious because it's all French words for like members of a kitchen.
Right.
So you don't actually know what anyone did. And then there's a credit at the end that says dildos by Sticky Fingers or vibrator by Sticky Fingers.
Yeah, see, the copy that you sent me cuts off about halfway through the credits, so I didn't actually see that.
Oh, okay.
But I did see the one like the microwave played by or introducing microwave by as whatever.
Right.
I forget. It was silly, but it's something to notice and kind of chuckle at, like the Lloyd Kaufman jokes in the Chroma credits and stuff.
Yeah, and
it's just something to laugh at.
I think that You're definitely right, and it definitely did remind me of the lower end of the sort of 80s sex romp genre.
Yeah. We're not talking like Private School for Girls here.
No.
You know, we're talking like God, I can't even think of them.
Splits.
Splits was great.
Splits is great.
We're talking about like Weekend Pass.
Right.
Which is just an utter piece of shit of a film.
Or Joysticks.
Joysticks is amazing.
I know, but it's...
It is a piece of shit.
Or My Tutor, that kind of...
Right, exactly. Actually, My Tutor is a great example because it's literally only there to showcase some sets of breasts.
And also, it's sort of very much in the vein of Hamburger the movie. Now, Hamburger the movie is much better.
Hamburger the movie is fantastic.
But Hamburger the movie, in terms of like boobs, bad jokes, bad production values, but still enjoyable.
So it's like Hot Dog.
Well, no, because Hot Dog has like quite high production values. I mean,
it does. It has very high production values. It's really funny when you compare Hot Dog to Hamburger. You know, which is a great sentence to say.
Yes.
You know, one of them has really high production values, but is not a very good movie, and then the other one has surprisingly low production values, but is just phenomenal.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
So I mean,
this one definitely is more the Hamburger. It's Hamburger the motion picture, by the way.
Right.
Yeah. But it's oh my God. Yeah, no, that's actually a pretty good comparison.
So we've got some questions, not a lot, but a couple of questions that I want to run through.
Sure.
And also I want to talk very quickly because we're wrapping up here, but I wanted to talk about the fact that sort of this movie inspired me to do something a bit crazy today, which was over lunch compile a list of every movie that I could find online that had the word massacre in the title.
Oh, see, I thought you were going to say you murdered a hooker and cooked her up in your microwave.
And just to let everyone know that there are 145 movies that I could find that have the word massacre in the title.
That's impressive.
And I wrote an article about it. It's on the website. I wrote an article to accompany the list. I may do like you did with your sex romp list and try and work my way through them all and watch them. Is your sex...
It's not up anymore. That domain is gone.
That whole website went? Damn it.
Yeah. I know. I probably have the list saved on like a Google Drive somewhere, so it's not like gone forever, but it's not on the web anymore.
But some that you might like. One of the most bizarre titles. It's actually from 2000 and has Debbie Rochon in it.
Nice.
But it's called Sandy Hook Lingerie Party Massacre.
Huh.
And the weird thing is, obviously, like with the Sandy Hook thing, that takes on like a weird, morbid connotation now, because obviously post 2012, it's sort of a bit weird. And I was looking at it, I was like, someone can't have made that after that tragedy at Sandy Hook.
I'm not familiar with the title, so I have no idea.
But actually, no, it's from 12 years earlier. It's from 2000.
Oh.
But you know, it reminded me of those you'd covered a couple on earlier in No Budget Nightmares that were sort of based on Columbine, like shortly after.
Oh yeah, Duck.
Yeah, and stuff like that. And I was like, shit, I hope they haven't made one like that. And they haven't. It's 12 years earlier. But just the fact that it's called Sandy Hook Lingerie Party Massacre, the first two words don't seem to fit the last three. Like, just call it Lingerie Party Massacre. That's all we need
I don't understand why you needed to have the Sandy Hook in there to begin with. I mean, Lingerie Party Massacre is a great title.
Right. The next one that I found, which I have no comment for, is just called literally Big Tits Massacre. And I don't know whether it's the massacring of big tits or whether it's using big tits to commit a massacre. I've no idea. But there is a movie in existence called Big Tits Massacre.
You know what I will say for that one is that is genius marketing. You know, because if I just saw a movie, you know, called, say, I don't know. I can't even think of something to say. But if I'm watching some random list of movies and they all have the word massacre in the title, and I'm running down that list and I see Big Tits Massacre, I'm renting that one.
That one's going first. Yeah, that one's first in the play. So I applauded that. And let's be 100% clear that putting massacre on a title, first of all, is genius. It fits with anything. It absolutely does. It fits with anything.
Actually, I might have another movie that you can add to that list because I doubt it's online anywhere. It's this Thai. I think it's Thai. It might be Filipino. It's just called Massacre, but it's Masaker.
Oh, okay. No, I didn't look up. I only looked up Massacre with the traditional spelling.
Yeah. I don't think it's online anywhere, but you can add that to the list. It's a pile of shit.
There's currently 3 films with the title Massacre from 1934, 1956, and 1989, respectively. But what's interesting about this is my nerdy list maker thing coming out. But yeah, so first of all, Massacre, it's great. If you want to sell a movie, put the word Massacre at the end of it. It still works to this day. I was surprised, actually. I would have thought that most of the Massacre movies would have been made sort of end of the 70s throughout the 80s to kind of cash in on Texas Chainsaw Massacre. But actually, the most use of the word Massacre as a title ending is in the 2000s.
That doesn't surprise me at all because that's when the nostalgia for those older, for the handful of quality ones that came out, in the 70s and 80s, that's when the nostalgia for that was kind of booming. So it doesn't surprise me at all that Massacre was used more then.
But yeah, and then lastly, the last one that I wanted to point out is that there is a short.
Big Tits Massacre 2.
No. So just to finish off on the Big Tits Massacre thing.
Yes.
You go, well, the end.
I'm currently finishing off on the Big Tits Massacre.
So you've gone. The last word of the title is going to be Massacre.
Of course.
Which is going to sell the movie. How else do we sell the movie? What do people want? And the same guy who was sat around the table back in
Johnson
1983.
In the back,
he just went, big tits.
Big tits.
Big tits. And someone went, Big Tits Massacre, genius. So there's that. So the last one, which is a short film, but definitely needs to be made into a feature. I think you in particular, Mo, will appreciate this.
God.
It's
Jeez,
called.
I'm dying.
It's called Mime Massacre.
See, that's another one. Like, is it like people pretending to kill other people?
Right.
Or is it a mime who's actually killing people? Or is it some like guy who really hates the circus who's going around killing mimes?
Yeah.
And then, see, it makes you wonder. But no, you're absolutely right. That needs to be a full-length feature. So I hope whoever made that is listening to this so they can just get on that. Kickstart it. I'll share it around. I need to see that as a full-length feature.
Definitely. So yeah, check out the list. It's over at aftermoviediner.com. It's one of the featured articles, so it should be very easy to find. But there's some great titles in there, like Bikini Swamp Girl Massacre. That's great. Like, that's fantastic. There's Frankenpimp's Revenge, the Romeo and Juliet Massacre, which is a great title. Fat Camp Massacre, which I think is great.
Wow.
There's apparently a movie being made as we speak called Hipster Massacre, which I can't wait to fucking see that. And a big shout out to my buddies over in Pittsburgh, my Pittsburgh peeps, and their fantastic movie Jagoff Massacre, which is available now online for rent at like $1.99, which is there's a link to that on the thing. So it's a great list. It's fun just to read. And there's a little bit of an article beforehand about the joys of VHS. Because it was the VHS covers of these massacre movies that kind of inspired me to write the article. So I wax rhapsodic a little bit about VHS, and then we go into the whole massacre thing. So check it out. It's a great article. I think it's a great article. And worth
everybody
checking
else thinks it's a piece of shit, but I love it. I'll check it out once we're done recording.
So, let me see now. We've got to go to some questions.
Yeah.
We don't have a lot of great questions, but here we go. Okay, since John Carpenter has stopped smoking and begun smoking more weed and did a tour, is there a chance we'll get to see another movie from him, or will he continue to play Xbox all day? I think the weed indicates Xbox.
Yeah, without a doubt. I would think that his Doritos intake is going to go up quite a bit. Maybe Mountain Dew as well. And I certainly imagine he is going to be poning some noobs in Overwatch or whatever the new fangled game is.
Yeah, and I would imagine that we'll probably see more music from him. He's executive producing this fucking Halloween reboot again. Oh, fuck. Which nobody asked for, nobody wants, and nobody gives a shit about. I don't know whether that convinces him to get back in the saddle, but I don't see...
Yeah, but honestly, how much work does an executive producer really do?
Nothing. He takes money or gives money, either way.
Exactly.
So, I just think that at the end of the day... I don't think he has any interest in it. I loved seeing him live. Seeing him live was amazing. It was clear that he had directed and edited the stage show. It was very clear that he was sort of in control of all of it, which was awesome. And he hasn't lost his touch. I would love to see another movie just so that The Ward isn't the last fucking thing he did, because it's awful.
Yeah.
I would love to see... I did a whole other article that was about why... Because Escape from LA is 20 years old this week. I did an article about why does everyone still hate Escape from LA, because I fucking love it. I think it's an awesome, gonzo, mad, comic book, crazy B-movie.
Can I confess something right now?
Sure, go ahead. I've
never seen it.
Oh, wow. Fuck, dude, check it out.
Yeah.
Pam Grier plays a dude.
Oh, well, in that case, I'm on it.
It's you've got to set aside the fact that they gave him $50 million to make the movie, because it came out 2 years after Jurassic Park, and yet it looks like it came out 10 years before in terms of effects and everything. So you have to and it only has $15 million less than Jurassic Park in terms of budget. Jurassic Park was $65 million, and this was $50 million. And it definitely looks like a B movie. Like if someone goes, this was made for 10 million, you'd be like, fuck, this is amazing. But because it was made for so much in the mid-90s, that's why people had a problem with it. I happen to just be able to watch it as like a mad gonzo fucking comic book movie, and it works like that. But I would happily pay to see a third Snake movie with Snake being old and whatever.
Well, you know what? I mean, now that Kurt Russell is basically out of retirement, he's back working regularly again. I mean, why wouldn't they do that? That'd be fantastic.
Yeah, and I would love to either that or.
But of course, we'd still get that contention of people on the internet be like, "You raped my childhood."
Yeah, right. Yeah, I mean, look, I said before in my article, like, I would rather a sequel than a reboot any day.
Yeah, exactly. Give me, and that's what people don't seem to understand. It's like give me a sequel. That's fine. Like, that's why I don't have a problem with the Mad Max movie. That's why I don't have, of course I wouldn't have a problem with it anyway. It's fucking fantastic. But the
original director. It's the original guy, like, doing a fourth part or doing a continuation of the mythology or the whatever. Yeah, exactly.
It's as long as it's still sort of in the same kind of universe and the same somewhat continuity, even if it's not that big of a deal. But I mean, like, make a sequel, don't make a reboot.
Yeah, I made my point in the article that I wrote about it. I'm like, is John Carpenter directing, producing, writing, and doing the score? Is Kurt Russell playing Snake Plissken? Is he trying to escape from somewhere? Does shit explode? Is Pam Grier, Bruce Campbell, Steve Buscemi, and a whole bunch of other people in it? Yes, they are. That's all I need. Like, I don't like that's another escape movie for me. And so I would like to see him do a third one, or if he wants to do something smaller scale because he can't get the money that would be required to make something like that these days, then him and Kurt Russell are what I want to see working together again, especially as you say now Kurt's out of retirement.
Yeah.
Ed Quillen asks, is there a group of films involving fast food, boobies, and blood you guys can think of to discuss? We kind of just did. We just
I was going to say, we really just did, yeah.
Either that, there's Blood Diner, right? That's another one. I don't know if there's there is boobies in that, I think.
I mean, does Dead End Drive-In count?
Dead End Drive-In, kind of. It doesn't have boobies in it, but Don Dola's Blood Massacre kind of has food and blood in it.
Yeah, you know what? Poultrygeist.
Poultrygeist, right? That's another good one. But yeah, basically anything on the massacre list, I would imagine, would probably have some form of boobs and blood in it. And again, Hamburger, the motion picture, has fast food and boobies. Not much blood, though.
Yeah, I don't think it has much of anything for blood, but that's fine because I don't want blood in that movie.
So Sloan McDonald asks, what is the first porn you and Mo remember seeing? Not together, just in general. And Ed Quillen...
Oh, it's funny. It's really funny because I've actually heard your story for this several times, which is hilarious.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've ever told my story for this. I do actually very much remember what the first porn I ever saw was.
Go right ahead, dude. Tell the story.
All right. So back when I was a kid, I think I was like 11 when I discovered the world of pornography. I knew, like, I was searching for movies to watch, and I knew that my parents had like a stash of movies up, like where their television was. Like there was this sort of like little cubby space above their closet. And they had like regular movies up there too, but like behind the regular movies, there were a stash of tapes, and I didn't know what the hell they were. So I saw this movie called Around the World with John Holmes, and me being 11 had no idea who the fuck John Holmes was, and so I pop it in, and all of a sudden it's just like this chick getting railed. And so I sat there and watched it for a while, and like, oh, this is interesting.
Nice.
And kind of set me down the path.
That's fantastic.
Oh, I was saying,
and yes,
and I had a bit of an obsession with the French girl for quite a while after that.
And then Ed Quillen. To get my story about that, you have to go back to, I think, like episode 9 or 10 of the After Movie Diner. But basically, I saw my first hardcore pornographic movie during a religious studies lesson when I was 9 years old. And that sounds...
it's one of the best stories ever. It
sounds sick and twisted. It sounds like, what, some weird teacher took you aside and showed you porn? No, that's not what happened at all. It was another kid's... like, they had the porn from their grandfather's shed. That doesn't sound much better. But at least there were no adults there. It was just all of us who were 8 or 9 years old watching this. But the story is out there in the internet. So I'm sorry, Sloan, I'm not going to repeat it now because I want to wrap this up. But it's out there to be found. So Ed Quillen follows that up. And what's the first one you saw together, and how many goats were in it? We haven't watched porn together.
Four goats.
There were four goats.
No. It was Glory Hole Goat Massacre, actually.
Yes, that's exactly what it was. Ed Quillen then asks, is there a reason why most recent horror films shown in theaters don't have any boobies in them? Yes, because all recent horror films are shit.
That, yes.
And also because... also because there's something like exploitation doesn't play anymore. Like the one thing we've lost in the PC kind of universe in which we live now is that the idea of boobs for boob's sake sort of doesn't play anymore. I think the last movie that had it in was like the Friday the 13th remake, and everyone's fucking and boobies are out and everything like that. But that's like kind of the last one I remember it being in. And while I agree that, we should be more sensitive towards lots of different groups of people, like people shouldn't be homophobic, shouldn't be xenophobic, shouldn't be racist. I agree with all that. I think that when it comes to movies, especially genre movies, there should be a little bit more leeway in terms of exploitation, and we should go back to the golden age of boobs and blood.
I agree entirely, and I think that one of the big movies to really start to kill off the boobs for boobs' sake thing was like when the American Pie films came out. I feel like that's when it stopped being sort of just, hey, there's boobs, it's fun, and it became a little, it sort of twisted it and became a little bit more lecherous and kind of ruined the whole boobs for boobs' sake thing.
Yeah, I mean there were some movies, but like, and I guess there's probably some underground movies that are still like putting a whole bunch of boobs in movies. Like it still sells on the streaming and or straight to video circuit. I just don't think, like, the trouble is all the big budget horror these days is fucking The Exorcist of the Haunting of Connecticut of Emily Rose Paranormal Activity bullshit. Like, that's every fucking movie now is a haunted fucking doll or a shitty haunted fucking house. And I'm like, ugh. Like, and the joke is, of all the 70s movies that people go on about, Amityville Horror was like the most boring one. Like, so stop making it all the time.
Amityville Horror is incredibly boring. Yeah, exactly. More Exorcist, less Amityville Horror.
Right, exactly. And now, have you seen they're doing an Exorcist TV show where the Exorcist is young, sexy, and has 3-day stubble because he's conflicted about stuff.
Oh, Christ.
Yeah. So that was a couple of the questions. We've got a couple more, and then we're going to say goodnight on this one. Mark McDonald asked a joke one, which is, what are your thoughts on Nietzschean concept of will to power, and specifically how does it relate to the current economic and geopolitical zeitgeist in the United States and Europe with respect to fascism, science denialism, and authoritarianism? He also said, what was the deal with Suicide Squad? But I'm not answering that because I haven't seen Suicide Squad. And the other thing is...
I'm going to answer the question, even though I haven't seen Suicide Squad. I'm just going to say I'm against it.
Right. And Jim asked a good question, which is, you and Mo are asked to design a VHS cover for the lost classic, A Trip Down Dismembery Lane, without ever having seen the movie. What does it look like?
All right, so there's going to be somewhere on there. There's going to be a severed head,
right? Boobs.
Yeah, there's going to be boobs without a doubt.
A hint of boobs,
clad or not. I mean, you could. Right, exactly. Like you could do like a sort of I spit on your grave kind of thing, where it's just sort of like a ratty shirt covering them up. That's fine. There's going to be obviously a real lane as such, and there's going to be a big house in the background, probably like storm clouds, maybe some lightning. It's going to be hand drawn, obviously, and maybe like a fat mustachioed bastard. Maybe like a Joe Spinell type with like a machete or something.
Yeah, Joe Spinell is perfect. That's who I would want to watch in A Trip Down Dismembery Lane, which is a great title. If that isn't a movie, that needs to be a movie. So that's a great title. So yeah, I would have. Yeah, there would be maybe like it. Let's think about what it wouldn't be a machete or whatever. Maybe like a sickle, like one of those farm sickles.
Oh, okay.
Because I want a different weapon.
Yeah, like a scythe.
Yeah, like a scythe, but not like.
That makes sense.
Like a hand scythe, not like a Grim Reaper scythe, but like a little hand scythe.
like the Russian flag sickle.
Yes. And maybe he's dressed all in like dark red. Like maybe he's like a communist killer or something.
There you go.
So that's what I'm thinking anyway. But that's it. I think that's it.
There is actually a really great... there is actually a movie that uses dismember in the title really well, and that's I Dismember Mama.
Right. And what's interesting, I Dismember Mama, is that Jim Wallace, who normally does the show with me and the one who just asked that question, when he was working in London years ago, actually found me the poster for I Dismember Mama, the original Italian poster.
Nice.
And brought it
That's
home
awesome.
and gave to me. Yeah. So I have that somewhere in my vaults of stuff. So that's very exciting. But Mo, thank you so much, sir, for being a part of this wonderful episode. Thank you for coming back on the After Movie Diner. Thanks for getting me out of a jam of not having a show with Jim this week. And I've had a great time, dude. It's been a lot of fun.
You're welcome for all of that, and you can just put the check in the mail, and we'll call it even.
Okay, sounds good to me, sir. Good to me. Stay heavily waxed, and I'll be over there in about 30 minutes.
I'll be oiled up and ready.
Well, back in 2011, I find a movie going to see. A film by Jim and John Moe starring Iggy Pop and me. But when the show was over, I had nowhere to go, so I ended up in a bar, sipping my bourbon and feeling low. One night, this wild-looking guy called Frank came over and asked me why I looked so sad as I drank. I told him about my post-movie blues, and then I saw the light in his glass eyes. He told me to go to the after-movie diner. I'm surprised you don't know there's no place finer. Come on now, let's go. Well, Mr. John Cresswell, he's a man. He's a man with a beard and a man with a plan. Yeah, yes. With Jim and John and Madam Mark, tune into French Couplet to start. Yes, and reviews, opinions, interviews, comedy and news, Don Doler and his films, and George Stover at the After Movie Diner. Now it's 5 years old. There's nowhere vital. That's the place to go. Oh, the After Movie Diner. It's where I go. Oh, that After Movie Diner. It's one hell of a show. I just killed that rattlesnake with a skillet pan.